Okay, this is a video about, again, it's about going and getting all our data together for different kinds of power plants that was published by the IEA. And then we're going to put all that data together and graph it a little bit. And then in the next section, we'll finally get to really computing a little more carefully the levelized cost of solar versus diesel versus batteries and all that stuff. Okay, so the issues I'm going to try to address here will be, a few things. I'm just going to show you again a little more on Read PDF because I fixed a couple more things. Some are going to be a little similar to the last one. I'll show you parsing titles, working with assumptions in multiple columns. Just a little bit, we'll show you the Power BI using graphs from a pivot table versus taking a database with all of these power plants in it. Okay, 182, not that many. But making graphs from this one, where we can show you the overnight cost or the capacity factor or something like that. It seems that I have my formulas not being to automatic, excuse me for that, so we could go to some other renewables and all that. Now, that's not very good. I kind of think the conclusion you'll make, we'll look at Power BI kind of versus a pivot table just a little bit. I'm not an expert in either of them. Okay, so we'll make our database. And I'm going to try to show you where the old-fashioned things of match and index might make sense and where other tools might be more useful. Now, if you go to courses, Chapter 5, electricity, now, I just updated, it takes me a while, I updated the Google Drive. So if you've been nice and sent me an email and said you want the Google Drive, then I've sent it to you, okay, free of charge. Then you open this file, okay, and there were a couple of really useful things here. And I've already talked a little bit about them, okay. I don't think I'm going to repeat. The first ones were just the getting all the kind of solar stuff together and the wind stuff together. So we can copy this one, and I'm going to make a new file, Control V, Shift Control. Now I have opened the file called Read PDF. That's just opened. And I've also opened the file called generic macros. All right. I'm pressing Control Tab, Shift Control A. You know, we're going to fix the problems with the European format thing, and then we're going to press Shift Control A, and then we're going to make our format. And there were a couple of things to do here. Now, if you press Shift Control T and press 3, I haven't selected a title, so I put that little stupid thing in. Shift Control T, you have to select the title first, and then you go a couple of things here. So I'm doing it much faster, just kind of to show you can do it much faster. Net capacity factor over net cost, that's good enough. We have this, and we'd have to insert the country, and we get all of that. That's all a review. Sorry about that. Okay, and then I'm not going to put that in. Now, below in this file, okay, below they had some other stuff. They start talking about all the operation and maintenance expenses, and they did it in two different ways. Now, there's something very, very unfortunate. One of the unfortunate things is down here in operation and maintenance expenses, they have it per megawatt hour. They don't distinguish between fixed and variable. Let's take the projects in Germany, and they do it by in Germany. So I want a database that has the O and M next to the capital cost, of course. So we can do our own levelized cost analysis. I don't want to be trapped into using those, and maybe we want to make all sorts of adjustments even to the capital cost. So the first thing to do is to get this data in. Now there are a couple of other issues in getting this data in. We copy it. Now there are no areas that have the problem with the comma. So Shift Control A, and let's reset the column number. So that's the first thing we better do. Okay, and then look at what happened. Now this is horrible. Uh-oh, this puts there. It had stuff on different lines this time. Solar PV was on a different line and all that stuff. So here's all you do. You press Shift Control A, you go to Adjustments and Conversions, and you make sure this combined rows is clicked to be true. I think I made a default to be false. And then, you got to go back to the original one here. Shift Control A. Let's reset the column number. We didn't really have to. And then I think it's kind of magic. It's just a little thing in the code where I said, okay, if it's a blank, put it together. Now I'm kind of almost surprised and pleasantly surprised that worked. So now I'm just pressing Control Spacebar, Control minus. I think you should press Alt-IR instead of this method, probably to insert a line, but whatever. And then the only problem is kind of on the first line. It didn't work. We have this. Now what you could do is copy this, and then you press Shift Control U, and that's one of the most important little macros you can almost do. That one just says if you've got a space, put it in a separate column, and that really helps. And now we can select this, Shift Control T, we'll put 3 rows again, we'll insert the things it says inserts the lines before, the spinner box inserts the lines before, and then we have the technology, the capital costs, and then we need to put a thing to get the fuel costs in a different line, and the fuel, and then this says combines with the item before. So if we want to put fuel waste, then it combines, and carbon costs, this will go to the one before and combine it. And then we have something called the heat credit for some of these plants that are combined heat and power plants, and then I apply it and return to the sheet, and then and this one I would put up here Germany, okay, and we'll just I have to do that by hand kind of, and then I put it all together, big deal, okay, and then I just press Control D. We don't need this anymore, and so this is how easy it is to kind of clean up this stuff. Perhaps I'll put this up here, and then, there's all the 7, 10 discount rate stuff. Screw that for a minute. Delete these lines. Let's move them over just a bit. I think to here, and the fuel costs started here. For some reason, they put all these fuel costs were the same at different discount rates, and then we kind of just move it over. Okay, this was fuel cost, and then we want to figure out what the heat rate is and be able to put our old fuel price in, of course. Then you press Shift Alternate C, and we can just combine the titles and. Okay, there were 4 titles, I hope, and then we put them all, and now when I put them into Power BI, what I wanted to do is take all of the data that's by country and just start appending it all together. Now that's okay, that works. And here's what I did, and I don't know if you like this or not, but I put a little test file in here, okay? So this I just said, okay, all I want to do, I want to see if a couple of things work. I want to be able to change like the carrying charge and have all our levelized costs change. So I said, okay, this solar O&M in this file, that's function of that. Can I get in Power BI, if I have a variable I'm changing and it's multiplied by something else, I think I'm dreaming to expect that will work. And that means that, frankly, Power BI is kind of at the end of your analysis, probably, because that doesn't work. And then I wanted to put the O&M together with for solar and gas together kind of in another column. Now, that should work. But I didn't get it to work, so whatever. So I'm going to just open the Power BI and just show you a couple of things very, very quickly. I'm embarrassed a little bit about this. Update the Power BI. Now, so the first thing I'm going to do is just read in the files. We just go and get the data. That's not that big a deal. Let's see if it's still getting the same place where I was looking at. Oh, that's so brilliant. It kind of does that, and then it says, okay, let's take the gas and the solar. Well, let's take them all. What the heck? We'll get them all, okay? And then we load them all. Those are all our sheets. Okay, and then it goes and loads them. And then after that, okay, now I want to, here, one of the things to do is you go always to this one that says Edit Queries. And when you go to Edit Queries, you can go to this thing that says Append the Queries. And when you do that, you can, I think pressing this 3 tables is kind of cool. And it already has the gas, so you just put the solar right next to it. And then that just adds it below. So we shouldn't really put the rest of these things in. And right now we just press OK, and then it put them all in the gas. But you know what I should have done? I did it wrong. Why don't we put Append Queries, and we put it as a new one? And then when you put it as a new one, do the same thing, okay? Let's put the gas in and the solar in, and press OK. And then it put it all in and called it append, okay? And then we close and apply, and then we can do some of our stuff. We'll click on this append. I'm going to click on this world map thing, and I think I can just put the country in like this. And then I can put in the cost. And I don't really have to do the cost or anything else. And then the other kind of nice graph to do here is this one. Whoops, oh shoot, sorry about that. Just click over here in the space, and then you just click it again. And you have the country, all right, and the cost, okay? And the final thing you can do, which is just what we're going to do again and again, is put a filter in. Shoot, Control Z, that works. And we'll just put a little filter in. I just have to click on it, sorry, and then we'll put the type. Okay, I guess I move that over, and then you can adjust that, and I can put gas or solar. Or I think I can press Control and put both, or I can do some kind of drop-down box here, and then it kind of shows all, or just gas and solar, okay? And I think that's enough. So that's good for appending, but can I tell you it didn't work? It didn't work. Because the titles were slightly different when I read it in the PDF and all that. So, here's the database. So instead, I did something very old-fashioned. I put a match, and I included the country name and the technology type. Okay, and then just started putting all the countries together and all the gas, coal, and oil together. So all I did is use the match and index, and I had a country, a data, country by country, and it originally had all the technologies together. So that's boring. Sorry about that, but I think it worked kind of better in Excel. I'm just showing you some things, and so you get the index number, and you just do the match and index, and all of these things over here are all index. Index, match, index, match. I still, feeling old, but whatever. I think I still could see what I was doing a little bit better. Now, let's save this file, and then let's put this file into the Power BI for just a minute. I'm going to make a new one. Maybe I'll pause for a second. Okay, so all this did, I just press get data again. And this file that I showed you is something called, and it's something called, I double click, and it's called IEA database clean. Okay, and all I want to do this time is get the database. So I kind of was very bad. I'm sure if I was good, I would do all of this stuff in Power BI. But then the nice thing, I'm going to show you a nice thing and something that was really confusing me a little, but that's okay, whatever. Maybe it's not, you know, if you make a video, there must be some rules or something. So I'm going to put the country, and then I'm going to put the overnight cost. And on the overnight cost, what we do is go down here, and in case there are doubles, you just take the average. So you get the average overnight cost by country. Very nifty. Okay? So far, so good. Clearly, Excel couldn't do that. The next thing, let's just put a thing here, and I got the category. So that gives you whether it's a coal plant or a new natural gas plant or an other renewable plant. We can see kind of what the cost is. And better yet, you could, of course, do another page and get the capacity factors, especially for things like solar. That would be kind of interesting. So if I put solar, I guess I'll just bring the capacity factor over here, unclick the overnight cost. I better put the capacity factor here, and I better make it the average again. Okay, enough. All right, and then I think it's probably good to do this one, isn't it? And put the country and the capacity factor. And I guess you could have a different page that shows the capacity factor and all that. Where is our capacity factor? Okay, so let's bring that one over, and let's go over here and get the average. Okay, now the only problem with this capacity factor is there are some in solar that have really high. That's because there's some CSPs. So I'm making another one, another filter, and on this filter I'm going to put in the technology, and I just want ground mounted. And then I can see the capacity factor by different countries, and it's very nice visualization. Okay, and then I said, okay, well, here's the problem. This is all very good. No question, it's very good. But then I'm going to want to do this with levelized cost, and I want a whole interactive thing where I put different carrying charge rates in, and I don't think that's going to work. I really don't. I tried it, maybe. So I want to input different values to Excel, and I have to export it each time. Ugh. And this is kind of the more interesting one for me. let's put the overnight cost in instead, get rid of the capacity factor, and put it in here as an average, and average of overnight costs for ground mounted. China is less than 1,000, but the cost of panels is like 300 US kW. So why is that so? Why is the costs of these ones so much higher? Still above 2,000 US, still up here. Oh my gosh! Partly because it's old, and partly because I don't believe the data. And we're going to go through and I'm going to go back to our PV Insights and talk about getting different data from different places. And so it's great, this IEA thing to mess around with. But the problem is you can't really, it's just, I don't trust it. And then we can get this. Now, if I went to the category, here's one of the things that I struggled with. So if you went to the, I can't get this back now. How do I get this? I go to drop down, I guess, and then get all again. Why does all not work? Just a minute. Oh, I think I have to delete this. And then I can get all again. So then I can get all. So the filter here, maybe I'm just doing something really stupid, but all I'm trying to show you is I just tried to do this really easily, and then I couldn't get the, once you put the filter in, so let's say I get coal plants, and, this is supposed to be the overnight cost for coal plants. Oh, you there. I don't know what happened to Belgium just before, but this is 2,000. Again, China comes in really low. Korea comes in really low. It's kind of fun if you do this for nuclear plants. You get the same kind of thing. Here's China and Korea. So the strategy for some people is to go get a quote from China, then bring it to Korea and say, we want a low-cost plant, just like you. This benchmarking stuff for me is so crucial. Okay, and this one, I seem to have still have the capacity factor instead of the overnight cost. I think the overnight cost is a little more interesting. So let's put that there. Okay, I'm rambling a little too much because I'm very worried about the length of these videos. All right, and then let's just, how about we'll look at natural gas. And for natural gas, we get these different kind of averages. China's a little low, but for natural gas, again, what we should do is separate it by technology. And we should look at the combustion turbine and the combined cycle and the open cycle differently. And then we get a kind of different picture. Now, as soon as you do that, then you can't get any of this stuff back. And you have to kind of take this off. You have to delete this to get the stuff back. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Okay, I'm sure I am. But that's enough of Power BI. So at the end, the real question is, I said, okay, I don't know what to do. Because eventually I want to put in a carrying charge rate and do all my own analysis here. And maybe an old-fashioned pivot table is really kind of does something almost the same. So I put the country and the technology. Here's the nuclear, and let's go to the on this one, and then I don't have to kind of take that little thing where I had to take the filter off all the time. So this is solar, and then if I only want to get for solar, I don't want to select all, but now it's got kind of all the filtering stuff for me. And you can just look at this file. I'm not going to, because I'm sure you're better at these pivot tables than I am. So if I just want large ground mounted, I can press OK, and I can still get it. And it shows me, again, this is kind of the cost that I expect these days, around 1,000 US per kW, not this one, not this 1,500, okay? But That's not what we're getting. And of course, then you can also get the. I did nothing but pressing F11 after I got the pivot table in there. Of course, where do I get the this one? Okay. Oh, to get that, if I want the the capacity factor, I suppose I have to click on this.